Yeah. All right. It is that time. It is that time. I actually decided to put my glasses on because I have so many things that I want to cover today um, for our training. For those of you who are guests on the call, meaning this is the first time we've had a chance to meet each other, I want to thank you so much for being on this training. I love training. I love doing this part of my business. My name is Tonette Blum. I'm the Director of Sales of the West Region and currently for Canada as well. But hold tight, Canada. We have some special news coming up on the next few days or weeks. Anyway, but I want to start off by telling you a little bit about my story because in this time, I want us to get to know each other and for you to learn a little bit more about me. I am a mom, and this is just a couple of my kids. I've been in this industry now for 30 plus years. The young lady that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, that's my daughter Amanda. And she that was when she got married. Had the honor of walking her down the aisle, which was so amazing. When you look at your children, they grow so fast. And the little guy in the middle, that's Noah, that's my grandbaby there. And I remember when Amanda was walking down the aisle, I um, I remember thinking and having that visualization of her as a little girl. Then the other most amazing thing was the one that you see at she is my corner right here. That's my daughter, Sarah. I don't know if you can see it, but she's graduating. She was the keynote speaker at her graduation. And then the bottom picture is my dad who passed away. And then, of course, about 2 years ago. And then at the very top is my husband, John. We've been married for about 7 years now. And then that's me at one of the events in Canada. So that right there kind of is a little bit of my story. But in my story, I want to tell you when I first came to PM International, soon, I think I had been here for about a year. My daughter says to me, Mom, that she was getting married. And I knew I wanted to give her the best wedding ever. I did. I really did. But you know what? Thanks to PM International, our Fit Line products, I was able to afford to get her a wedding where I wanted, one of the things I wanted to have was to have a piano playing when people entered the room. And I don't know why, but maybe it's because my dad plays the piano. But either way it goes, it was a significant moment for me. And that experience is why we're here today. The fact that you took out time out of your schedule, for some people, this is dinner time. For some people, it's at nighttime, late in the evening. It does mean a lot. So let me get to the training, a big part of it. The one thing I want to say is your vision for your future. Where are you going? I mean, this is the beginning of a year, new opportunity. And you saw that in terms of how we started off the meeting. I want to encourage you for 2024 to think big. I mean, really think big. Because when you think about our founder and CEO, Rolf Sword, that's exactly what has happened with him. This training is mainly geared toward people who are already in the business. So some of you who may be guests that are on the call tonight, that's great. But I want to tell you that Rolf Sword, when he started this company more than 30 years ago, he was a car mechanic, which you all know that, but he had a vision for something bigger and global, bigger. And think about it, at the time, he was 30 years old. 30 years old, there's a lot. My kids it's my youngest, my oldest daughter, she's 33 years old. And just to think that 30 years later, here we are at over 3 billion. So tonight, what I'm going to do is this is going to be one of those trainings where I'm going to use some of the things that I said before, but then I'm also going to add some things because I've been in the business for 30 plus years. And when my daughter was a baby, that's when I started. But I quickly realized that in this industry, that you can afford to think big, like big and bigger. And this year, PM International celebrated 30 plus years, but we hit over 3 billion in annual turnover. And we also have sold over 900 million products. So what are some of the key? And the first thing I want you to remember is that you first got to set a goal. That's the main thing. Where do you want to go? Think about that. And then you have to make a plan to achieve the goal. Now, sometimes people say, I want this, but they don't do the plan. So all of these things are important for you to remember that if you haven't made a goal for yourself tonight, before you go to bed, make that goal. Then think about your plan and then get to work. Get to work on achieving it. The thing you got to remember is you got to stick to it, because there are going to be times where you are going to get discouraged. Or maybe you have, where you've set a goal, then all of a sudden things happen and you changed your goal. But no, you got to stick to it, because if you stick to it, ultimately you will reach your goal. And whatever your goal is in PM International and for your team, that's very important for you to be able to reach that. Set a goal for yourself in terms of how much you want your business. You can set a monthly goal. What's your goal for the month of February? What is it that you want to accomplish? How much in points do you want to have? A lot of the things I'm going to say are rhetorical questions that you want to answer to yourself. So I'm hoping that each of you have a piece of paper in front of you. I'm hoping that you have sent the link out to your team partners or the people in your organization, or even the people who are thinking about it, and send the link out to them, have them to be on the call, because undoubtedly I may say something that's going to almost be like a ding for you in terms of your business and where you see your business. That's what my objective is for you to be able to have and provoke thought, so that in 2024 for you, because I'll say this, and this is something I say to people that I care about all the time, there's only one you. And you want to make sure that 2024, that undoubtedly whatever your goal is, that you set your goal and you reach your goal, that in that step-by-step process. So if you have people in your organization that aren't on this call, go ahead, send the link, get them on the call, and we'll keep going. Okay, so there are some questions that you want to ask when you're looking to create your goal for PM International Fit Line. The first question is, why did you start your business? Why did you start a PM International business? And then, even when you're sitting down and you're working with your leaders, asking them these questions: how much do you want to earn each month? How much do you want to earn? And then also, how much time are you willing to spend? If you know these questions, it will help for you to be able to go step by step to get to your goal, even in your PM business. And then, so how much time you want to spend in. And then this is the interesting, who will you contact? And we're going to talk about this one. This is a big part of tonight's training. We're going to talk about that. But also, it's important that whenever you set a goal, that you also bring someone in so that you can be able to establish who will hold how will you hold yourself accountable. So even if you have a person or you put a picture, next time I do this training, I'm going to show you guys my vision board. It's right over here in the corner. So I look at it every time, but I have my vision board in front of me so I can be reminded. And again, it helps me to be accountable. That's why even when I think about my children, that helps me to be accountable. So those are some questions that every person you bring into the business, whether you bring them in or not, make sure you ask them that question, and then you ask yourself that question. What we're going to tackle on today is the 5 steps of success. And that is in terms of sharing your story, maintaining your contacts, making appointments, converting them from customers to team partners, and building your team. So let me go right into all of these steps. The thing you want to ask yourself when you're talking to someone and you're setting a goal for yourself, ask yourself another key question. Okay, I told you they're going to be some rhetorical questions to provoke thought, right? Okay, where are your prospects? Where do you get them? How are you being visible to them? And how do you attract them to your business? We're going to address many of these questions, okay? Where are your prospects? So what happens is there is a path that leads in terms of sponsoring people and recruiting. And recruiting is recruiting customers as well as the opportunity. The first one is when you talk about leading with the opportunity. We're going to address that in a minute, but leading with the product, getting your products for free. What does that mean? These are some of the opportunities, the questions that you ask. Part-time, or whether or not in terms of sharing the product as a retail approach or building a team in terms of that. So the key to being able to do that, and you've heard us talk about, is telling your story. I actually started off at the beginning telling you about my story, telling you about how it felt when I walked my daughter down the aisle. As I was telling you that, I actually could visualize me walking her down the aisle and how powerful it felt when that occurred. The same thing when it comes to telling your Fitline story, your PM story, is that there are two different stories that you want to be able to have in your repertoire of stories, because it also depends on the need of the individual. You want to know what they're looking for. How do you do that? Is you got to remember to listen. And so before you listen to them, let's talk about some of the steps that you can be able to make in terms of creating the different stories. Like, for example, when you're talking about, and even when you're brand new at this, what was your first encounter with Fitline products? Meaning, think about the background before you. Like, where were you before you started using the product? And then what did you feel when you first started using it? Your very first encounter. Then asking yourself the question is, why is this product perfect for me? So think for a moment about your favorite product, and what was the reaction when you first started, and why you feel undoubtedly that this product is important. And then what happens is you still want to even be talking about your current experience at it. And then what that does is that builds engagement. So when you think about the circle that you're seeing in there, creating your product story is much about you, and it's about how you felt. And then when you start thinking about that, you can then translate it to what that person could feel. But now, one of the things I always tell people when you're talking about your product story, it's important that you say that this is how you felt. But every person is different. When you tell them that every person is different, write that down. You know why? Because all of our bodies are different. So sometimes when you take Activise, someone will say, when I take Activise, I get lots of energy, right? But then someone else said, when I take Activise, I don't really notice right away the energy. How is that? Or maybe someone will say, when I take Restorate, I go right to bed. Then someone else say, when I take Restorate, I don't actually get tired. I still keep going. You know why? Because our bodies are still different. But the great thing about our product is no matter how you feel, it's still going into your body, and it's still building the resources for your body to be able to feel good. So that's why when you create your product story, it is important for you to share your story, but also share it with the caveat of saying that this is how I feel, more so than this is how you will feel. Don't ever tell them you'll feel that way, because you don't know until they try their products. And a lot of times it's a typical thing. You can say, typically, this is how people feel. Typical is a good one. because then that gives you that sense that if they don't feel that right away, they're not, oh my gosh, is something wrong with me because I didn't feel that way. So that's why it's important for you to allow them to have their own experience. Now, when it comes to creating a business story, then the questions that you ask yourself, and maybe you're writing these questions down and then you fill it out for yourself. I was excited to share Fitline with others because of what? How would you answer that question? Right? I bet most people would say because of how it made me feel, right? But then when you start thinking about, I was attracted to the business because, and then fill that in. And then what do I see myself and for my family? Now that goes back to the goals of sharing your story. Just remember, when you share your story, this is the very beginning, and you have that information out. That's why we're writing these questions, is that it's great to be able to almost have one-liner when it comes to sharing your story. The thing you got to remember, though, is that when you share your story, make sure you don't embellish. Like sometimes I've heard people, and this is why sometimes when we start talking about medical terminologies, we never use medical terminology because this is not a medicine, right? This is a nutrition, right? It's food grade. So that's why you don't embellish that. But what happens is you are authentic by sharing how your own personal experiences. And that is important. Why? Because when you do that and you're real honest about it, people deal with people that they trust and that they show that they care and that you're authentic in helping them. That's so important. Trust is important. That's the core of connection, is that they believe that you actually care about their well-being and their results. You care. You have to show that you care, and you're showing that you're doing this in terms of trying to help them, right? Helping them to build it. Now, I did this training a long time ago, and when I said to someone, how do you present the business, especially if you're brand new in this business and you're thinking, oh my God, what do I say? As I was asking all of those questions earlier, I started writing a long list of stuff that I wanted to say. And the next thing you know, when I was talking, it was almost like the person was excited. And then all of a sudden I kept talking and kept talking and kept talking and kept talking. And then the next thing you know, they're like, and I'm off the screen. So what I want to share with you is a quick way for you to be able to share the principles of PM International in a succinct way without telling everything. Because really, when you're talking, the idea of your story is to intrigue people to hear more, to intrigue them so that way they too can also be thinking about themselves. You don't want to tell them all, because it's almost like if you were going to the movies, and I bet you if we're going to pretend like we're in a room, but I would ask you this question: how many of you gone to a movie because of the preview, right? The preview is there to get you excited, but it's not to tell you the whole thing on the movie. It's only to get you excited to go to the movie. So what we're going to do is talk about preview. Okay, so when it comes to the principle of PM International, right? And I think all of you can chat. Let me make sure if you are able to chat in here. Hold on. Questions and answers. Okay, so it looks like you can answer questions. I want to be able to see whether or not I can get you. Oh, okay. Let's try this. There's a place where you can raise your hand as well. So you should be able to raise your hand and that kind of thing, and I can open it. But when you start thinking about sharing, there's this quad of all of the things that you can share. The first thing is sharing about the company. What can you say about PM International? Well, a couple of things you can say is that we're in our 30th year, right? We just achieved over 3 billion with a B, right? We're in 40 plus countries, right? So a lot of times you can say we are a European-based company, right? You can say a lot of things about PM International, the company. What I want you to do is on your notes, write just 3 things. What are your top 3? Write them down, okay? The 3 things you want to say about our company. That's it. Why? Because again, they will know. And then the next thing is you would say, let me go, is our products. What can you say about our products? Now, I know you probably are saying a lot of things, but I can tell you that what you could say is that our products are GMP certified, right? That's one thing you can say. You can say we have a simple and successful way to be able to use our products. Let me tell you, you can say PR. What does PR stand for? Power, Cartel, and Rest Rate, right? PR meaning that, yes, you talk about it, PR, right? What is the other one? BAR. BAR, you're right. I know some of you already got it, is basic, active, ice, and rest rate. So we have a plan that's simple and successful, right? The other thing you can say is GMP certified, okay? So what I want you to do on your piece of paper is write 3 things about our product, okay? Just 3, not a whole lot, 3 things, okay? What's the next thing you're gonna say is about the business? What can you say about our business? Well, you can definitely say that our business is simple. When you start off as a manager, it opens the 7 streams of income. You can also say with our with our business, that we're in more than 40 plus countries. You can say in our business that we have a BMW car program. You can say in our business that you can say that in our business that when you start off as a manager, you open the door to 7 streams of income. There's a lot you can say. What I want you to do is to write on your paper 3 things. Okay. So now what happens is, depending on who you're talking to, you can then be able to quickly share about PM International without telling them everything, giving them that sneak peek of what PM International, our Fitline products, are all about. So what happens is the order that you go through this process is also depending on who you're talking to. So if you're thinking to yourself, I am talking to a mom with children, what would be the first thing I would talk about? Maybe I'll talk about the products. Or maybe I was talking to an account executive, right? Then I would talk about the business. But the key is, if you have these 3 little things already lined up, then it helps you to streamline this and doing the presentation in less than 5 minutes, really, without going into a whole lot of detail. Now, the last thing in this quad goes back to how I started before, because most of the time when people decide, yes, they want to start this business, you know what they do? Is they do it because of you. The company PM International is made up of you. Each and every, that's one of the things when you go onto the PM International Rolf Sword page, I love the fact that what he does is he shows a lot of pictures about his life, so that, and his wife, and then the business. He actually is doing a lot of what we're talking about when you look at his Facebook page. If you're not a part of his Facebook page, make sure you do that. I try to do the same thing. I usually rotate with my family life, as well as a little bit of the business, a little bit of the product, a little bit of the company, and I rotate my social media based on that. That's a great little tip for you to get someone a sneak peek on your business. Now, we're ready for step 2. You ready? Okay. All right. Step 2. is the contact list. So what happens is when you talk about the business, and the other question I asked was, who are you going to talk to? The first one is your warm market. I want to talk about your warm market versus your cold, and about engaging customers and team partners. The interesting thing about the targets in your sponsorship is that you have two different buckets. You have your warm market and your cold market. What's the difference between the warm market and the cold market? The warm market are the people that you know, that you already established a relationship. The cold market are the people you don't know. But either way it goes, when you combine that with the engagement, that's how you can build your customer base along with your team partner base. Okay. So when it comes to that, how do you do it? Is the first step of doing that, it's a revolving circle, is that you start off with tapping into their market. So tapping into the warm market, that means making a list of all of your family and friends and putting them in buckets. Like, for example, who are the people that you're going to talk to about the product? Who are the people you're going to talk about with the business? And what happens is, how you can be able to change that is that the first step of that bucket is to tap into the market, into your warm market. And then what happens is, after your warm market and you've exhausted it, then you go to prospect. And then, but either way it goes, you invite them. That inviting them to be able to try it, try the product, try the business, is the key to getting your close, is that you tap in and you continue to do it. Now, the question is, how do you attract them to the business? After you tap into the market, it's about brand visibility. What brand visibility is, for them to be able to see you and see your lifestyle, see the product, use talk demo, letting them try the product is a big part of that brand visibility. Utilizing social media is a great one. I think going back to what I was saying earlier about the Rolf Sort page, is that that's another great tool that you can be able to use to increase your brand visibility, but also building connection. What is the building the connection part? Building connection is about, once you have established that the product, building that connection helps to lead to the conversion of them going into the market and closing it. Okay. So that's why really recruiting and attracting, it goes together in terms of how you can be able to build your business and grow your business. So recruiting, especially working with your warm market, but also working with your cold, because either way, it's a win-win. I remember when I first came to PM International, a lot of what I'm saying is a lot of the things that I did well and the things that I didn't do well, right? Because you gotta learn as you go, of course. And it's okay if you make a mistake. It's actually encouraged that you make a mistake. Why? Because then you can be able to perfect it and get better. I remember in the beginning, what I did was I made my list, which we're going to talk about customer lists in a second. And all of the people that I knew for sure were my warm market. And then I had a list of all of the people that I wasn't quite sure. And I even kept a list of the people I didn't think would automatically say yes. I thought they were the people that were going to be a little bit tougher, right? Do you know what actually happened? The people who I thought were for sure, they were the iffy ones. They were the ones that said no. The people who were not, I thought were kind of warm, maybe, they were excited. But the ones who I thought were not going to immediately be interested, they were the ones who were interested. The key is being able to really read them and not make a decision on anyone. Let them decide for themselves. So that's why I say, when it comes to warm and cold market, either one is great. So now let's start talking about that customer list. What is the customer list? This is something that I always think when we start talking about the warm market versus the cold market, is being able to set up a list of the people that you want to talk to. Your friends, your relatives, all of those people are perfect candidates for understanding the business. There we go. All of those people are, whether you talk about your family, your friends, your classmates, that's how many. I mean, as a matter of fact, what I love about our phones now, and a lot of people have phones, is that you probably have tons of people in your contact list. There we go. Tons of people. So making a list of all your family and your friends, that's your one, that's very, very true, right? Your family, friends, your classmates, your social, okay? That's the first thing. Then, as I was saying earlier, putting them in buckets, whether it's the product or the business. Now, and last time I did this training last month, I asked all of you to track your nose. If you've tracked your nose, I really want to hear about that. As a matter of fact, send me an email, tonette.blum@pm-international.com. I'm also on Facebook as well. So you can Tonette, Tonette, .blum@PM International. Reason why he's going back to this no tracker. What happens is, in this business, undoubtedly, you're going to get some no's, right? And sometimes when people get no's, the truth is that they get discouraged, especially if they get no after no after no. But what I want you to remember is that in this business, going back to what I said about never giving up, don't give up, because undoubtedly you will have a yes. And then you may get a few more no's, but then you'll get a yes. Then you get a no. Then you get another no. And then you'll get a yes. The consistency of doing this is how you can be able to see the overall productivity of your list. Not everyone is going to say yes, but so you will get some no's, but undoubtedly you will get some yes. And this mark of what happens when you're prospecting and when you're tracking and you're deciding to talk to people. I love this statistics. It's an oldie but goodie. The key is that 40% of salespeople never follow up with the prospect. 48%. Don't ask yourself if that's you. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then stop. 12% of salespeople make 3 contacts and stop after 12%. But 10% of the people make 3 contacts. What happens is those 10%, after the 5th time, they have 80% chance of being able to make it happen. The key to this, ladies and gentlemen, is never give up, right? Better your best in terms of really being able to get out there and get your contact list. Remember, we started off talking about what your dreams and goals, your goals are. You have your goals at stake. That's important. That's why you want to keep it going. Step 3 of the step 5 is understanding when you're making the appointment and setting the appointment. Why is setting the appointment important? Remember how I was saying earlier about telling your story? That's only a part of the program. The key is to be able to set an appointment. Setting an appointment is whether or not you meet with someone online versus meeting with them in person. Whether you do it online or meeting in person, setting the appointment and making the appointment is important. But ideally, meeting someone in person will give you the best outcome. Why? Because when you can be there in front of them and you get a chance for them to really look at you in the eye, for you to look at them in the eye, and for them to try the products, it really makes a difference. Now, it doesn't mean that whether or not you are setting the appointment and meeting someone online, that there's no way that you could be able to do it. There are some people who do all of their business online. That's okay. The key is that when you're able to set the appointment and be able to see them in person, it truly can make a difference in terms of your overall conversion. The question is, what happens? Whether, and I answered this question about whether remote, that's online or in person, but when you're meeting someone, the key is to build curiosity. Going back to what I was saying earlier about the sneak preview, is that when you build curiosity, that means they're wanting it. They're wanting to try this. They know that when they're meeting you, that you're giving them the benefits of something that's going to be good for them. Often I say, don't let it be about you and not about them. Building curiosity allows it to be able to be about them. And then, of course, establishing the benefits. What can they get out of it? What's in it for them, right? People are always thinking, what's the benefit for me and for my family when I'm using this? If you can be able to share with them what the benefit is, then what happens, it makes it easier for you to set the time and being able to be in person to do it. Because why? They want it. They want it because you've now established what the benefit is for them. How are you able to establish that benefit? How are you able to secure that appointment? That is by being a good listener. Most likely, people will tell you what their needs are and what they're looking for, and you can adapt it to what their needs are. How do you know that you're being a good listener? Is you can observe it through body language. Body language will tell you if they nod their head and they're smiling, you're ready to close. That is a true statement. If they nod their head and they're smiling, that is it, okay? If they're not nodding their head, that may mean that they still have some questions. They may need, that's when we start talking about overcoming objection. Overcoming objection is a lot of you being able to listen and be able to observe their body language and to hear what their needs are and meeting their needs, okay? So when we talk about the engagement, remember, Use Talk Demo is a perfect way to be able to ask questions, to be able to remember to ask questions. Remember, the key is to being able to understand what their needs are when you're in the midst of that appointment. Understanding their needs. That's so important. And then going back to what I was saying about overcoming, acknowledging their objection. What are some of the key objections they have? Whether it's, oh my gosh, I don't have the time. Oh my gosh, I don't have the money. Oh my God, right? You have all heard this before. What happens is when it comes to overcoming the objection, we often say this felt frown. Felt frown is, I feel what you're thinking, but I found this. A lot of times the objection is not a true objection. It's an objection that says, I need more information. Now, certainly, if you come across someone who says, right now is not the time, then what you do in terms of overcoming the objection, the key is acknowledging their objection and then asking them the question, what would it take for you to be able to see the benefit of this? What would it take for you to be able to try it? A lot of times what I've done in overcoming the objection is simply allowing them to try the product. That's what Use Talk Demo is all about, because Use Talk Demo allows you to be able to overcome the objection. Why? Because then they get to try it for themselves. They get to be able to feel it and know the results, okay? And the key of step 4 of converting them from a customer to a team partner, okay? A lot of ways to being able to do that is to establish that, yes, there are 3 ways you can be able to start in terms of this business. What's great is when you start as a customer, the great thing is that they've now used the product and they felt the benefit. So I love the fact that with our 3-month auto ship program, we allow you to be able to try the product. You allow your customers to try the product without a large investment, because they actually get the 3 months of products, but they only have to pay 1 month at a time. I love the fact that this is the strategy that PM International has adopted. A lot of companies don't do that, but PM International is the one that they're really willing to be able to let the person try the product. The other part of that, going back to what I said before about the follow-up. Follow-up is so important when it comes to building your business and growing your business. Make sure that you follow up with them. I know the fortune is in the follow-up. How can you make sure that you follow up? Establish a follow-up day. I remember a lot of times my mom, who's also been in this industry as well, she used to tell me all the time, Tony, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You got to always have your Monday planning day. What Monday planning day is for me is that's my follow-up day. What's your follow-up day? Establish a follow-up day so that way you can establish the timeline of when you're going to do that follow-up day. If for you, maybe it's on Mondays, maybe it's on Wednesday, maybe it's on Saturday, maybe it's on Sunday. I want to encourage you, establish your follow-up day for you to be able to go back, especially to your customers, to find out how they're doing. We a lot of times at the Business Academy, we talk about the 1, 3, 7, 14, 21, 28. You know what that is? First day, get the product. 3 days later, you follow up with them, see how they're doing, see whether or not they're using the product. A lot of times they're not using it, all right? But that's where the seventh day allows you to go back to them and say to them, hey, tell me how you're feeling. After the 7th day, then, and you know that they've tried it, then you follow up with the 14 days. 14 days says to you, hey, maybe how is it going? Have you felt the difference? If you're using Fitline products for 2 weeks, oh my goodness, you're definitely going to feel the difference. And that's when you can be able to ask them for additional people, that maybe some other family or friends. When it comes to building your customer list, it's not just about the people that you know, but it's also the people that they know. Okay, let me keep going. Oh my gosh, I got lots to cover. The key is to attraction marketing. What is attraction marketing? That means if you're listening to them, you're knowing what they're attracted to. What are they looking for, right? And creating the connection for yourself as well as the business. What it does is it shows yourself, let them see, because when they see you and they see your authenticity, then what happens is that's how you can build trust. All right. Follow up even with your team partners, and making those connections is important. So the last step I want to talk about is building a team. How do you build a team? I know on this call I have Catherine Napkin, who is she is a Gold President's team member, and training and working with her team is a big part of the success that she has in her business. I know that. Thank you, Catherine, for being on the call today. And so what happens is training is important. Know that even when you're first starting, I know you're saying, wait a minute, how do I train? I'm just getting started, Tony. Oh my gosh. Coming and staying connected to events is important. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have our opportunity call. That call, the purpose of that call? It is to help you to share our Fitline, our company, our products, and our business, even when you're just getting started. Our Business Academy is to help you to get knowledge on our business as well as our products. All of that is important. Okay. So training is a big part of being able to build a team. Just know that your goal in this business, if you're wanting to treat it like a business, you know what the key position is in PM International? You know what it is? It is the manager. Why is the manager? That's where our marketing plan is set up for you to get started, and really at the very beginning. So if you're a manager on the line tonight, congratulations to you. Then what happens is your magic number of manager is to build to get to 5. 5 managers in our marketing plan. That's where our check assurance is it helps you to be able to then start looking at as a business. when you start at the manager's level. So what I want to do is go quickly in terms of how and why every month we have what our manager qualification. You know why Rollsword set up the manager qualification where every month you have to requalify? And when you qualify as a manager, it opens the door for you to get paid. That's when you see that check assurance. That manager qualification helps to show that you're building a business. The key is to become a manager making machine. What that means is look at your five. We call that your fabulous five. Make a goal to at least have 5 managers. From that 5 managers, working with that 5 managers for them to get their 5 managers. That's how you can grow into the business. A lot of times people ask me the same question. How do I grow? I want to grow. Remember, manager is your key and hitting your check assurance. So I want to make sure that everyone on the call, because I know I have some new people on the call, is to reiterate how the check assurance works. There are 4 possibilities. The first one is when you have 600 volume. What is the volume? The volume includes your personal purchases, retail sales, and your direct customer. Those are people when you send the link to order online, right? And what happens is they place an order. Those are direct customers. Okay, we add all of that. The second possibility is going back to what I was saying about the 5 people. If you have 5 people with 100 points and you have your 100 points, not only do you make your check assurance, but you then give them a chance for them to be able to try the products as well. Okay. And this also is a level where you can be able to make sure that they're all a part of the Fit Line Club, which is our new program. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. The other part of the manager qualification is that when you start thinking about your group volume, what's the group volume? If you have 1,200 points. Now, remember, when it comes to the point value, why do we have points versus dollars? Well, remember, PM International is in 40 plus countries. And so with those 40 plus countries, it has different denomination in terms of the currency. So that means that if you're in Europe and you use the euro, or if you're in the US and use the dollar, you can have and build a business internationally. So that's why all of our products have a point value. And so when you look at the active eyes in the point value, okay, it's the same point in every country. The difference is only the currency. So that's where the points come in. I want to make sure you guys remember that. So the group volume includes your team partners and your own sales. This is important for you all to remember. Managers are higher in your downline is excluded from the check assurance. It doesn't mean that is included in terms excluded from your group volume, but what happens in terms of your ranking, but in terms of check assurance, what happens is it is included with your team partners and your own personal sales and not managers. I want to make sure you guys remember that, okay? And then the fourth possibility is if you have your own subscription and you get 2 new managers. Any of those 4 criteria, you've hit your check assurance. And then what happens is then you can be able to see that these are the 7 ways that your income can grow. And all of that has to do with you when you become a manager, okay? All right. I know I went through that pretty quickly, all right? But do know that if you have questions, more questions about our compensation plan, you can be able to reach out to a customer service, or we can set a one-on-one and we can be able to talk more about it, okay? The other part of the 5 ways is coaching. That's working with your team, right? That is so important. And so what I want you to remember is the key to your success are these 4 quads. Contacts. What are the contacts? That is the people that you share the business with. Name list. When you have contacts, that helps to build the name list, which ultimately helps to build the appointments, which ultimately leads to your presentation. And that's how you can become successful in this business. Contacts, name list, setting the appointment, getting in front of people, A lot of times I've said to people before, they said, "Oh, Tony, how do I get to become successful in this business? I just don't like talking to people, but I want to be successful." You got to share your story. So you have to make sure that you make those appointments and you do those presentations. That's the key to being successful. The more people you talk to, the more people you share, the better. And that's how your business grows, for sure. The other part is events, which I talked a little bit about events. And events are important. And that's where we have a couple of great things. And that is our Business Academy that's coming up on next Saturday. We have some great speakers that are going to be lined up for that. So make sure you mark your calendar and whatever events we have. And that's why it's great that all of you are on this call today. So excited that you came. But I want to make sure that you remember, aside from growing your business, another great way is to be able to attend events. And then the perk of when you grow to your business is that you get rewarded, and we have all kinds of incentives that are in place. The timing right now is especially good because we have our sponsoring competition. Make sure that for those of you who've already gotten your sponsoring competition t-shirt, remember the deadline is next week, so you all still have time to be able to utilize it and to be able to really reap the rewards of the sponsoring competition. I know you can do it. And remember, we have great prizes in store for this. This is a win-win. So I love with our company, when you work hard, you achieve your goals, but then there's also that caveat of additional tools and support, additional supports for you to be able to receive. And the sponsoring competition is a great way for you to be able to do that. I'm so excited, all of the ones that are coming in. And so I just want to end on a couple of things before I let you go, is going back to how I started out, is that make sure that for all of you on this call, that you set a goal. Remember, where are you going? And think big, and think big. And one of the things I was saying earlier about the Fitline Club, this is a great new support. What's going to happen is on April 1st, you should be getting your buttons about the Fitline Club. Just remember, have your auto ship is important, okay? Take advantage of all of the great opportunities that we have. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the mindset growth of what's happening in terms of our business. The timing is so perfect with PM International. As a matter of fact, Gordon mentioned earlier today in terms of what is happening with PM International USA. We're growing year after year. Since 2021, sponsorship is up since September, year after year. Auto ships are up from since February 2018, month over month growth. August 2021, I mean, even in Canada, we're at 45% in terms of points year over year, 29% in terms of sponsorship. I mean, eight straight months of auto ships growing. You know, when it comes to our timing for PM International, gosh, the timing is now. I want to close with this, and that is, just remember this, that in order for you to be successful, you have to have a few characteristics. And this is when you start self-evaluating yourself, you know, that willingness to learn. Well, guess what? All of you got the check mark because you were on the call today. Make sure that you're taking those notes and you implement those notes. Whatever notes you put in, make sure you do it. Persevere. We have proven track record that PM International 30th year in business, ranking number 8, hitting over 3 billion, that says, yes, your perseverance will pay off. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged in this business. Continue to grow, continue to stay connected, continue to talk to people, continue to share your story, and be enthusiastic about it. Because when they start using this product and knowing that you're helping people, We sold over 900 million products worldwide. Look at all of the people's lives that we've changed. Building connection is so important. Connect with the people that you know, connect with your team, building that. Let's all really develop leaders. Let's go and let's be positive, because you know what? Ultimately, this is the year for each of you to reach new heights. So I want to thank you again for giving me this time. It's been wonderful. I do want to see whether or not anyone have any questions or anything like that. I see someone raising their hands. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, let's see here. Answer, raise your hand, open. It's open for questions, I think, that you can be able to ask. Let me see here. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. Allowed to talk. Okay, hold on. I do see someone. Oh, is that Catherine who had raised their hand? Let's see. Okay. All right, Catherine, yes. You should be able to mute yourself.
Hi, Tonette.
Hey, Catherine.
I meant to say bye. I'm sorry. It was not for questions. It was great. It was very great. Thank you so much tonight.
Oh, thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Catherine, for being on this call today. It's been
no
wonderful,
problem.
wonderful, wonderful. So I hope you all got some nuggets in terms of what things you can do in terms of your business. So thank you again for being on the call. Let me see if anyone else has any questions. All right, you all. Well, take care. Let's go to higher heights. Okay?